Hey up everybody, welcome to the third episode of Loose Lips for today. This is feature 6. Let me just put this comment in to pin it, and then I'll get you all up to speed with who we're going to be speaking with. Perfect. So yeah, as I say, this is Loose Lips, and we're going to be speaking with Suniel Makh now, who is a public speaker, positive mentor, guru, and we're going to be getting some good vibes from my brother I used to go to school with him, so we're going to have a bit of a catch up as well, and get chatting here on Loose Lips. If you want to get involved with the back catalogue, what you need to do is go to YouTube and go to Pop Cult Chic, and you can find all the previous chats on there, as well as Instagram pop.cult.chic. Sonny's just sent the request, so I shall accept now. Yeah.
Yes, brother, how you doing?
Same, brother, you good?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Yeah, blessed, mate. Thank you for agreeing to do this.
No, thank you for having me on. It's a real pleasure.
Always, mate. Always, man. How have you been getting on?
Been good. Just trying to, keep body and mind active. Lockdown in this coronavirus period it's such a weird time in human history. Just try to get through it as best you can, and I think that comes down to just try to keep as busy as possible in a number of different ways.
When I was speaking with Gina Swire, so that was my first chat today, and that's a lady who's looking to help encourage self-love and self-worth with 1 billion women on the planet. Amazing. And we were on about, you've got to remain positive and optimistic in these times, but you still got to have empathy and sensitivity to the situation that's going on as well. So how have you found balancing those two paradigms?
It's true. That's such a good point, and there is a lot going on, and it's easy to be think, oh yeah, I'm feeling really positive, and there's a lot of bad stuff happening out there. I mean, there's the difference between positivity, which is kind of just feeling good for the sake of feeling good sometimes, or just trying to convince yourself that everything's okay. That's usually never appropriate, because you end up suppressing how you're truly feeling anyway. I think one of the keys is to see the problem, what's going on, be aware of it, be respectful, have empathy, but then for your own personal self, think, okay, what's the best that I can do right now? How can I get the best out of myself? And that's not to say that these bad things aren't going on around us. They are. There's people, when people are losing their lives, it doesn't usually get more serious than that. So we need to be respectful, empathetic, show our love and kindness, but then also look at the situation and think, okay, what can I do with this? I can't control it. All I can control is me right now. How do I get the best out of the situation for me personally?
I agree. I fully agree. I think it's the energy that you're putting out. It's in such a, I think you said it, one of the biggest things that's happened in history, such a massive, almost like catastrophe that you could look and be seen in future historical books of looking back at this time. And Definitely. Yet it's if we remain with our energy and remain grounded, then, we're still emitting the positive vibes, which is still required around this time to help play our part. You can feel powerless, but if you can still remain optimistic and upbeat and share those vibes, then that's what we're playing to a massive picture. But that's our small part within the bigger scene.
Without a doubt. I mean, this is the ultimate, this is, for me, is the ultimate example of when people always talk theoretically about you can't control the things outside, you can only control yourself. That is such a common cliche, isn't it, Ben? I mean, we hear this all the time. And it's this is the ultimate test right now, because it's easy to be positive and feel good when everything's going in your favor, when all the stars are aligned and everything, you're getting the rub of the green. Whereas right now, we're being taught the hard way that we don't have control over the things that we have control over. We don't have even control over our movement right now. We have to be careful about where we go, when we go, how close we are to people. But none of this external stuff changes who we are as a person. And now this is the ultimate, like I say, ultimate test of who are you? Who are we as people? What do you want to emit? What energy do you want to put out there? What are the vibrations that you're willing to share? Is it a story of anger and sadness and hurt and frustration? Or is it a story of love and kindness and optimism and resilience? Because the situation we're in is the same for everybody. The difference is going to be how we handle it.
What would you advise to people who may feel a bit guilty towards the latter? You know, they might feel, oh, I shouldn't be feeling a certain way because of what's happening.
That's a great question, because some people do feel guilty for feeling good. Sometimes it's almost like it's not appropriate to feel good when there's so much negativity around. But what I would say to that person is, by feeling good and optimistic, you're not rubbing it in people's faces saying my situation is better than yours. You're just trying to do the best with what you can do. And if you do that, you're almost giving yourself the opportunity to influence other people. We need to do it not just for ourselves, but because it might help someone else along the line. They might see you and think, oh, that person can still remain optimistic during this. How can I be a little bit more optimistic? How can I maybe look at and focus on some of the good stuff rather than all the bad that's going on? So we don't just have a responsibility to ourselves. We have a responsibility to those around us as well. This is a time for community. It's a time for collaboration. It's a time for being one with other people. But playing small right now, even if we feel guilty for being optimistic or trying to look for the good, is not only just hurting you because it's unnatural, it's actually putting combined bad energy out there.
Let me just turn you down a nudge. No, I agree. It was just echoing a tad. I thought I was, but no, I fully agree with everything you've just said there. And it is a social responsibility, isn't it? And like you say, what's mad is like, you don't, I tell you what's a bit of a cliche is when you see these memes that come up, but they're so true, but they feel a cliche, but they're not. It's like, a smile brightens up somebody's day, but it's true.
It's so true. I mean, I go a step further than that, Ben. And I remember saying this at a talk I was doing once. And I was like, I used that exact example of a smile can brighten up someone's day. But I always take it a level further than that. And some people might agree, some people might not. But I really believe that a smile can save someone's life. Because if you're walking down the street and they're so down, you have no idea, and you smile at them, you transform the direction of that person's day. You might make them feel a little bit better about the next 5 minutes, which then the butterfly effect kicks in. And then that makes them feel a bit better about the next bit and the next bit. You can genuinely, I truly believe on the bottom of my heart that you can save someone's life by an act of kindness or a smile.
So you took it a step further, so I'll take it a step further. Let's go down the rabbit hole. That's what we're doing, bro. It's like, when I smile at people, sometimes you get a look back where you're like, what's that guy smiling at me for? Right. And sometimes you get a lot of stones like that thrown before you think, rah, am I some like weirdos just smiling at people and they don't like it? And now they're like, why is he smiling at me? But then it can set me off a bit, para. And then I'm like, oh, so like, how would you protect your energy of a good vibe person who is smiling? And it might not be reciprocated just because people may be going through their own stuff, but it doesn't impact you and then not smiling at the next person, which then might need that butterfly effect.
I love that question, Ben, because I think there's so much. We're talking about energy now. We're talking about vibration and how to protect that. And, the cliches that we generally hear about are do good to people. But there is this bit of, what about if it's not reciprocated? Because some people only feel good if that feel-good factor is being given back. Now, how to protect yourself. And this is going down a bit more of the spirituality, energetic kind of route. Nothing to do with religion, just for the record. Spirituality is not to do with that. But I always think of it like this. If I'm going into any environment which is negative, or any environment which is potentially negative, before I even go there, I say to myself and visualize and imagine that there's a protective shield around my body and my aura. There's a protective shield that surrounds me and no negativity can get in. Even if it's being sent at me, it can't penetrate that. And that might sound like a hippie thing to do, but the reality of it is you're making the intention and you're training your subconscious mind to say, any negativity that comes back, I reject it outright. That manages to protect your own energy, or whatever you want to call it, your aura, your energy, your spirit. It protects that because you make the intention. One thing that's missing so much is intention from people. They just go about their day with no real plan of what they want to happen or no real plan of how they want to feel. Now, if you're about to go down the street and you think, before you go out, I'm going to smile at everyone I see and I'm going to show them love and I'm going to show them kindness. And even if I don't get it back, or even if they think, oh my God, what a weirdo, it's cool. I'll only receive the love. I won't receive the negativity. I won't receive it. I'll protect myself before I even go out there. I think that's such a great question and such an important point, that how we intend to go about something brings about our reality.
You know, I'm well into this because I think intention is so important, and yet it is so easily overlooked. I
Yeah.
mean, even this morning, like I had a real cool meditate, and what I'm using this time for at the moment is almost to like, I want to shine a torch on my shadows, you know, my
Yeah.
internal
Yeah. Yeah.
shadows. I want to show that I have ownership of them, but I also feel that I can leave a lot behind. And
Mm.
like I meditated with the intention to seek everything out, and it was it wasn't the first time, but I really felt complete by going inside and owning that intention. That's the term. I
Yeah.
owned it. You know, we
Yeah.
started this conversation by saying like, we don't tend the choices that have been taken away from us
Mm.
externally, but we still have that choice to revert back internally, don't we?
Yeah.
And I really, I really felt like I had the power over it. I know I always do, but I felt I have. And I think that stuff like that, that's the butterfly effect, because sometimes if you smile at somebody down the street and they throw shade back, it's not
Mm.
like you don't want to smile at anybody afterwards, because I'll
Yeah.
still smile at people because it's just the vibe, innit? Do you know what I mean? My
Really
intention's
are.
only good vibes.
Yeah.
But what I would say is that, again, internally, it'd be like, oh, what if, you know, the questions can come then, do you know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
like, it
Yeah.
set me off on a different trail of thought.
Mm.
But it's only really recently that I've started to develop or look a lot more into intention. So
Yeah.
can we sort of spend a bit of time on intention, and like when you first became aware of them? And shout out to Chris Fountain as well. We spoke early on in Loose Lips. Respect to that, my brother there. But
Yeah.
yeah, can we get involved with
Let's talk.
intention?
Yeah. Let's talk about intention. So for me, it became one of those things where it was like, if you don't, if you just go out in the day and, all right, let me break this. Let me start again and break this down, because I always look at it in two ways. You go about life on autopilot most of the time. You just do what you've always done. You act in the way you've always acted. You react to situations in a way that's like, okay, something happens, I react to it. You do it after the fact, right? So you don't really control your reactions a lot of the time, because it's just how you usually react. Something happens, you react. It's like if you throw a ball at someone, they move out of the way, and just a reaction to what's happened. But so the thing with that is, though, you're not always in control of your reactions, because they're happening in real time. You don't have the thinking time to think, okay, how's best for me to act right now? You just do what you think's the best thing at that time, or you do what previously worked for you, or whatever your belief system is. Until you get to the point for me as well, which was like, I don't want to just react. I don't just want to be passive in my own life and just think.
Did you see examples of this playing out quite often, where you felt like you were just reacting? It were almost like a common template trait, that you were just responding in the same way to
Yeah,
actions.
I really believe that people do. I mean, sounds like a generalization, but just go with me that people tend to react in the same way most of the time. You know, this coronavirus stuff, some people get really angry about it. Some people look for someone to blame. Some people get really sad about it. Some people like laugh at it, and not in a derogatory way,
In
but
a
just
nervous way.
in a nervous way, or they try and be funny because that's the way they know how to cope. Now, what you see is angry people get angry, sad people get sad, people who laugh laugh. We've kind of got these ways of dealing with things that we generally do, and it doesn't really matter what happens. The angry person's always going to be angry because they're an angry person. The situation didn't make them angry. The anger came from within them. So for the thing for me is like, I kept saying, okay, you know, you get those moments in the day or in a week where you think, why did I do that? Why did I say that? Why did I go down that route? It's exactly like the example you gave. Is like, let's take that. If you smile at someone on the street and they give you a weird look, and then you start going, well, maybe I'm a weirdo and maybe I should just stop doing that, and I'm not going to smile at the next person. You reacted to that situation. Then later on down the line, you think, why did I stop smiling at people? Like, that's not me. That's not really me. But you always do it after the fact.
Yeah.
You don't do it in advance. And then for me, it was like, okay, intention's all about doing something in advance. It's about setting an agenda. The example that I always use is like in business, this is standard practice. You don't go to a meeting without an agenda. That agenda is there to set an intention for that meeting. That's what it does. It says, okay, this meeting, we're going to discuss this, this, and this. We're going to get this out of it. This is what we're going to, when we come to the end of this meeting, this is what will be discussed. Now take that into your personal life. That's what I did. Because I've been in so many meetings in businesses where it's like, great, we've got an agenda, we know what we're talking about. Then I started waking up and going, before I started using the word intention, I was like, okay, what's my agenda for the day? My agenda for the day is, I want to feel good today. My agenda for the day is, I'm going to spread as much love as I can today. My agenda for today is, even if negativity comes at me, I'm not going to accept it. That's my agenda. So then when you find yourself in those moments where it's like, shit's coming at me, you go back to thinking, but I planned for this. I've got an agenda for this moment. I'm not accepting that. Or I've got a plan for this moment. I'm going to show even more love right now. Because just because that one person didn't accept me is not throwing me off my agenda, also knowing my intention.
What I love about that, and the sort of truth of it is, the proof's in the pudding. Yeah. And it's like when you are faced with it, it's almost like what I've found over life is like the things that trigger me or the things that I see as triggers are always going to be there. It's just that they're loosen the noose around how I like grab to it. And I almost now, like, it's almost like a nod. It's almost like before I'd be like annoyed that they were always there. Whereas now it's like a nod. I see it from the universe going, Gage, this is how far you've actually come in your own self-development. And it's funny how it's a paradox in it. It's just that it's the same thing, but it's just how we're watering what we're allowing to grow around that, whether it be the flowers or the weed. So when did you, because, you know, everyone who's watching me and Sonny, we used to go to school in the same year, Dixon CTC, shout out, 95160 over here, mate. But, yeah, like, you know, you were always, like, upbeat, like, you know, love Brett the Hitman Hart. I remember that. You loved Brett the Hitman Hart. That was your guy. That was
my guy, yeah.
And then, you know, and you were also doing music at that time as well.
Yeah.
But it's like, where does this path, this career path come into play? Because I think that I could be like, have the skill set to become a life coach. It's something that I've always been like interested in getting into, but I've not known how to start or step up. But I do know that it takes so much devotion, like it is your life, isn't it?
Yeah,
but that's what it needs to be, because in order to be a life coach, you need to understand your own life to then be able to coach everybody else. So I wonder where the transition came in for you.
It came for me, and this is the question that like I get asked often, and it came for me is like you say, like, you know, we went to the same school, so you've seen me grow up, and you know, whether it be playing football or being involved in music or whatever it is that we were doing back then. For me, there's two things here. Is there's been people with mental illnesses in my family, and this was at a time before it was even like depression was widely talked about, or anxiety was like, it's like a thing now. It's great, everyone's talking about it, or it's much more widely accepted. Whereas now when I look back, I think, damn, that person was going through what you'd now class as depression. You just didn't know it back then. You just thought they're just down, or they're just having a bad day, or they're just that kind of person. You didn't realize it was a mental illness until like more recently. And I've grown up with people around me like that, and I've always kind of looked at it and felt like I don't want it. I don't want that for my life, and not in a like, oh, they've got it there. I wanted to know, how do you get out of that? Because it's not what you've got, it's how you react to things. Because you see people with less things than what you've got, happy, not complaining or not worrying about the things that other people are. And it's like, I don't want to just think that my life is written. I don't like the thought of destiny in that kind of terms, and like, oh, that's just your lot in life, that's just the way you are. For me, it was like, I've seen these people really, really struggle with alcoholism, with depression, with this. And it's, to be honest, Ben, it scared me. It was fear that got me thinking, I don't want this for my life. How do I learn the skills to get out of it? And then as I grow up in football and in music, and, you know, like all those things that I challenged myself to do, I always had a level of ability in all of them, but never the confidence to follow it through. So I could do something good and I feel great for a minute, but then it'd only take one person to say something negative for me to completely lose my confidence, for me not want to do it. And there's so many times where now I look back and I think I was on the verge of something there, but I gave up. Why did I give up? Because I didn't believe in myself, because I didn't really truly think I was either worthy of it, I was good enough, or someone told me I wasn't good enough, and I just shut up shop and I just thought, nah, it's too painful. It's too painful to be involved in this, so I'll just leave it there and not give it a go. But the more you do that, you get so sick and tired of quote unquote failing or feeling like there's more to give and just giving up on yourself. You get to a point where it's like, enough. And that was the point for me. Is like, I've seen it all my life with these people in my family that have suffered with it. Now I'm going through it and I'm giving up and I'm down about it, and it's affecting my relationships, my career trajectory. It's affecting all that stuff. All right, stop. What do I need to do to figure this stuff out? How am I going to get there? And then you just end up down this rabbit hole of information, of tools, of techniques, of therapies, of styles, and you start thinking of them and applying them. And that doesn't mean by any stretch that my life is perfect. And that's one thing that I'll say about any coach is their life isn't perfect. So if they tell you their life's perfect, it's not. Everybody's going to face challenges. It's just about how quick you can bounce back, or if you've got the skills to get yourself out of it. And for me, it's like I'm addicted now to figuring out, okay, I'm in this situation, how do I get out of it? Or this person's in a situation, how do we get them out of it? How do we get them to where we need to get to next? But it all started, like, to summarize, it all started for me was fear, number one, of not wanting my life to turn out like that, of the way I've seen some really sad stories in my personal life. And number two, just being sick and tired of feeling like I've got so much more within me, I don't know how to get it out.
So you actually were looking at the tools to transform that thought, and then that, with the skill set that you had adopted and learned, then made you think, I want to help other people in this mindset.
Definitely, for me, it was like we help. When we help ourselves, we then learn the skills to help others. But it's also like, sports are really great analogy for this, because like some of the best, like, I don't claim to know anyone's life that I work with better than them. I can't know it. I'm not in it. I'm not involved. I don't feel the pain in the same way that they do. But what you can do from a coach's perspective is just take a step back and say, okay, I see what's going on here is a new perspective, a new way of looking at it. And if we implement these things, we've got a chance to put it right, or we can put it right, because the techniques are there, the skills are there to do it. But you know, I've got to be practicing what I preach, even that sometimes it's easier to give advice to other people. It always is for everyone to implement it for yourself, but you've got to be able to do both sides of that coin.
You said earlier, you're not going to let that be your destiny. You don't look at destiny in that way. Do you believe in a destiny?
Well, I think that I want to say no, but I want to explain why. If someone had said yes or no, black and white answer, I'd say no. Reason being is, for me, destiny means your future is written out, and no matter what you do, there's no way to change it. You're going to head in that direction. And you know, the traditional way of destiny is your path is your path. It's been pre-written, preordained. It's written. You just follow it. Where's the power in that? That's how I feel about destiny. I believe that there is, if there's a destiny, then I'm just a puppet to my destiny. I'm not controlling anything. I'm not in charge of anything. The way it will be is always the way it will be. It's a powerless position. Whereas I believe that you can control your destiny in terms of, yes, someone might be able to say, if you continue down this road, your destiny will be this. But at any given moment, you can change the course of your destiny and change direction. That's the power that we have, that power of free choice, free will, whatever you want to call it. But overall, I don't like the concept of destiny, because I feel like it's a powerless concept.
That's an amazing analogy and breakdown of that. I believe in destiny, but I would have attained your explanation. But for me, why I believe in it, but yeah. I understand why you don't through your explanation, even though it's quite a similar path. Like, I feel like the journey that I'm on, what guides me and raises me is, I know it's my destiny, but I know that it can veer. I know that if something comes, I can climb over it because I'm getting to that point. But at no point is that detrimental to what if I have to go left for a while and do something
Yeah.
there, or, you know,
Yeah.
I'm still always going to come back here. But how
Right.
you brought that down, I fully get as well. I fully get as well.
It seems like it's almost like I'm saying no, but it's kind of yes, and you're saying yes, but it's kind of no. It's like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
flexible. It's like a flexible destiny, isn't it? I definitely am down for a flexible destiny of you know that this something's meant for you, but you're willing to change your approach until you get there, and you might be heading in this direction, and you might have to change course. There's still power that you have within that destiny, right? There's still something that you. What I think the point that I'm trying to make is you are active. If there is a destiny, you are active in it. You're not passive to it. It's not just like I can sit here in my room and things will
It'll
just
come to
happen
me.
for me.
Yeah.
I have to be involved in my destiny. And, you know, to loop it all the way back round, what you're also doing is you're looking at it saying, I'm meant to do this. That is also your intention now. And because it's your intention, you do the work.
Oh, mate, that's checkmate, that. Whoa. I love how you flip that. I love how you flip that. How then, I mean, speaking to you now and just, it's just oozing out of you, it's just flowing out of you, but obviously you touched on a place where you were at. So, like, how long has that shift been? How long has that transition been, like, in years, or, you know, the work that you put in?
So I've been coaching for going on, it's coming up to 8 years now. But for me, it is constantly work in progress. There's never a level that you hit and you think, oh, I'm good now, or like, yeah, I've got enough knowledge. I have the moments all the time where it's like, that's just flip the script on everything that not flip the script completely, but it's like, it's just added a new level of enlightenment, of knowledge. So it's never ending. But I really struggled in my late teenage years, early 20s. I think I really struggled to find myself as a personality, to respect myself, to believe in what I was doing, until I started to learn some of this stuff. And then I started to be like, okay, you know, piece by piece, you start building up some solid foundations within yourself. But it was a few years of heartache. It was a few years of wanting to kind of not do anything and just think, I'm just going to try and cruise my way through life. And I don't want to raise my head too far above the surface because it keeps getting chopped off every time I do that. And I don't like that feeling. I think for a number of years, I was like, I'm not feeling the rejection, the feeling of downness, depression, all that kind of stuff, until I started to learn this and slowly build the confidence within me to say, no, I'm ready now. You know, I've matured as a man. I've matured as a soul, and I'm ready to start pushing this forward. And this is one thing that I am so passionate about and so into, that it does ooze at me because it's all there. And I think, like, you know, with what you do, Ben, I see it every time I see you do something. It oozes out of you as well. It's because it's who you are. It's not an act. It's not a facade. It's not a character you're playing. It's you. And when it's you, it comes out naturally. And that's why when I do this stuff, I feel a different vibration in my body now than when I did anything else in the past, because it's like I'm home. In me, I'm home, and I'm doing this for the right reasons. I'm doing this because it's who I am, not because it's something I'm trying to do.
Would you also add to that, though? And again, I suppose it's a bit of a subplot now, is the destiny conversation, because you got me thinking about it. But would you also add the things that you've gone through, right? Like everything you said there was felt because you've been through it. So you have to go through that in order to almost alchemize it, to then be able to help people who are in that place. Because if you haven't been to that place, you might have an idea, but you've not authentically been there. So the guidance might be cool, but that connection, that resonation, that truth, it's not there. And thank you for what you said about me. And I just speak from my heart. And I think that's why it's real as always. You know, I've been real since day.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's just how it is. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I think what I'm saying is like, do you feel you needed to go through that in order to help along your destiny?
Yeah, I do. And like definitely, there's a couple of points that I want to make with that, because it's such a good comment. Is number one, with what I do is there's people who, you know, have been through a lot more shit than I have in their life, for want of a better phrase. And, you know, you can't always feel what they felt because you haven't been through what they've been through. I'm talking like horrific things that have happened in people's lives, the levels of pain that they must have felt. But empathy and understanding is a huge part of this role that I've taken on. But that doesn't mean I'll always be able to say I've been through that, so I know how to put it right. Absolutely not. I'm not. I'm blessed, Ben. I'm having a great life. I'm enjoying it. For all the painful moments I've talked about, there's been some exceptionally high moments that other people haven't managed to have. So I'm blessed. I see myself as really blessed. So I can't always say I've been through what other people have been through. But what you can do as a coach is empathize and understand and help people through the tools and techniques. It's like exactly like a football coach. Some coaches, some of the best football coaches out there weren't ever that good at football, but they just understand the game. So for me, it's like I can't know what you went through as how painful it was, but what I can do is I can help you understand the rules to the game to get out of it. That's my role. And yes, and the second point, the destiny point, I forgot about that because it's like I think we're going to trade ideas on destiny, and it's such a great discussion. And it's like almost like when you set, my intention was I'm going to learn about this stuff, right? So I set my path, and then I believe that you might call it destiny, but I call it guidance kicks in. Then the universe goes, "Oh, you want that? Let me guide you. Let me show you some doors. Now just be open to seeing these doors that are open now, because I'm going to show you some stuff. You have to be willing to walk through it, because there's probably been so many times in your life, and definitely in mine, where you look back and you think, oh man, that was so guided, and maybe it was destiny that I found that out, but it was kind of like I was asking. It's like the genie from Aladdin, right? You ask and it gives you it. I know that's a famous analogy from The Secret, when the law of attraction and that kind of stuff. But it's almost like asking, you shall receive. I was asking at that point, show me this stuff. And I'm sure the universe had sent me plenty of messages when I was down in the dumps, but I just didn't want to see any of them. So
I hear that.
So that's why I think your concept of destiny is so relevant, and I agree with it completely. I actually agree completely with it, because your version of destiny is you have to be active in your own destiny, right? I may have been born to be a life coach, but I can stop myself from doing that by not doing the right things. But I can follow that through to the end by playing a role in my own destiny.
I find at the moment I'm in so I view life like that, right? It's like a cycle. It either goes like that and you go around, or it goes like that and you ascend. But as well as you ascend, you can also go down as well, right, depending on like what you're putting in. And I find that I'm at the moment, it's almost like it's on a hydraulics, like it goes like, and when you're ready, it's like on a 23-degree angle, like the axis of Earth. It's like, all right, now you're spinning in flow. All right, now you're in orbit, but you've got to close the last one off. And like, I find a lot of repeat situations, but it's almost like the universe is going, how are you going to respond? Show us you've responded properly, so that we can close this one off. And then exactly. Do you find that?
100%. I couldn't agree with you more on that point. I truly believe the universe will put you in the situation over and over again until you learn the lesson. Once you learn the lesson, you do level up, because it's like, okay, I'm going to test you, and if you keep failing the test, you have to reset the exam. And it's just like that. And I see it, you see it all the time, with, especially when this is really prevalent. And a really good example of this is like relationships, because you see people who they're like, oh, I broke up with my last ex-boyfriend or girlfriend. Why? Because they were abusive and blah, blah, blah. And then they get into another relationship, and it's like, it's the same abusive partner, different skin, different person, same behavior. And then you go and you think that person is going to end up with that same type of person until they learn the lesson, which is respect yourself. You deserve better than this. Then as soon as they get to that point, it's like they don't attract those situations anymore. And the universe knows you've got it. On to the next lesson.
You touched on something before, where the analogy of being a coach, and you might not have been through the situation, but you feel that, through empathy and understanding, you can express tools to help them get through the situation. And today's loose lips, right? Like, I'll be real, obviously we go back, but like, I weren't, like, about half an hour before the first one at half two, I was ready to pull them all, because which really shook me what's going on in America at the minute. You know, is it George Floyd, the brother? I don't know if you've seen. There's a brother who the police like kneeled down on him and like
Oh, I've seen the
basically.
pictures.
Do
Yeah,
you
I
know what
saw
I'm
the
saying? And
pictures.
obviously this is a good vibe show,
Yeah,
but it affected me, man. And
definitely.
like why I bring this up is, you know, the wider community that isn't been impacted by these situations, it's on people who aren't affected by it to stand up, to speak up for the oppressed in order to give it the spotlight that it has, the platform that it has, and saying that it's not wrong. It's not just that it hasn't happened to me or my kind or my people, so it don't matter. Everybody now, otherwise we're suffering, not just as a society, but as a human race, at the detriment of people being silent. So I wonder if the skill set that you said there of just because people may not have been through it, but they can still speak up, I wonder if that can translate to a wider scale such as that, because it has thrown me, and I'm like, that's the only way I see it being changed. So how do we change it? How do we get people to speak up?
I think that is such a, you know, it's such a relevant point, because, you know, me and you sat where we're sat right now, we're not feeling the pain that that family's feeling or that person is going through it. We're not that close to it, but we can still feel the emotion of it, and we have to talk about it, because that's the way it's, like you say, we're going to bring a spotlight to this stuff. We're going to change if we unite. We're stronger as a unit than we are individually, and it is that situation where we don't always go through what other people are going through, but we can feel someone else's pain. We've got that empathy within us, and once we do have that feeling and willingness to try and change it, then as we generate that energy together, we can change it by expressing it, by talking about it, by confronting it, by putting a spotlight on it and saying, no, this isn't good enough. Just because these people without a voice, or potentially who haven't got a voice, can't say it, we're going to be that voice for the voiceless. Or, you know, not even from a heroic perspective like that, but we want to add volume to the voices that are already talking about this.
That was a CM Punk quote as well, that voice of the voiceless. I respected that. I caught that. I like how you put that in there. I like how you slip that in. Respect, my G. But no, I think you're right. And I think it's, you mentioned again earlier about emotions, and you came to it then. And I'm not going to lie, I'm angry, but I'm not letting that anger live inside me.
Right.
And I want to, do you think that there's benefits to emotions like anger? You know, you used the emotion of fear to get you where you're at now. But sometimes it feels like when you be seen to be portraying a positive exterior, shall we say, and you are you know, like, as a positive person, you know, when you feel an anger or this or that, like, it's almost like, oh well, you shouldn't be angry, or do you know what I mean? But then at the same time, you don't want that anger to eat you up. Like, the reason I came on to Loose Lips, like, is because, no, like, you know, I'm playing my part in my small role, exactly what we spoke about before. Like, I'm not, like, if I wouldn't have done these today, it would have inconvenienced people, but it wouldn't have done me any good. I'd have just been sat here stewing, and that's when the anger would have properly been living inside. So there is an anger there. There's an anger of, like, we need to do something, but it's not like eating me up. Anger is in, like, it's not debilitating. So I wonder if there's you can make a distinction between the emotion and not letting it eat you up, but even if it is portrayed as a negative, still utilizing it as a positive, as a plus.
100%. For me, there is no emotion that's a negative emotion. Like, anger can be transformed into motivation. Fear can be transformed into motivation. It's what you do with it. And here's the thing that people get wrong a lot, is that they feel negative emotions like anger, like sadness, and instantly they try and push them away. They try and beat it out of them. Like, you use the word there, I shouldn't feel like that. People talk about shouldn't all the time, shouldn't do this, shouldn't do that. What they're doing is they're making themselves wrong, and they're making this emotion the enemy. It's like, oh, I'm angry, but instead of feeling that anger, I'm going to try and push it away, that is suppression. That's what's called, that is suppression in a nutshell. Pushing something down, trying not to feel it. Whereas if you were like, okay, I'm angry, and I'm going to explore that and feel that, and I'm going to allow myself and respect myself to say, there's this emotion of anger in me, but instead of just reacting, we talked a lot about reactions a bit ago, instead of just reacting to that anger and think, I want to destroy something with this anger, is to say, okay, let me look at this anger. What is it trying to teach me right now? Like, I look at those negative emotions as an alarm system, like your phone, an alarm on your phone going off saying, ding, 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 something's going on with you. Check the alarm, see what it's telling you, then go and do what you're going to do next. Because that awareness of I'm feeling like this and I'm allowed to feel like this. We are human beings who are going to have this range of emotions. I don't train, and I never ever want to train people to become robots and not feel. I want to train them to do good with those emotions, to use the energy, even if it feels negative, to transform the energy into something productive and positive. And anger and fear and sadness can be a great starting point. They don't have to be. It's worse when you push it down, because it will come out eventually. You know, energy never really dies. Emotions are energies. You try and destroy this energy, it's not going to get destroyed. It's going to find its way out eventually.
I look at it like alchemy. I think that that's where we become our own wizards, and like
Yeah.
if we can transform that energy into something positive, then yeah, it's flint to create fire, but it's where you're gonna torch down pretty much. But
Yeah.
it is a mad one because like it is the awareness, but for so many people who may not be on this journey, they might not have the awareness to take that step back, that breath, that shine, that internal light. Like I was able to do that before I came on to Loose Lips. Do you know what I mean? I was able to do that. I was able to like go, right, where is it? Shine a light on it. There it is. Decipher it. Deal with it. Boom, done. But that's me of 36 who's been on this journey for a while now and understanding my own thoughts and going inside. You see people where it could erupt in a certain different way, and that could send them down a certain different path just because they've not had that experience or that training. So how do we get it out into the public domain? How do we transform the world?
It's, you know what, this conversation that we're having right now is so relevant because more people need to be having this discussion. The awareness comes through education, and not necessarily a school education, but like, you know, for me and for you, Ben, like, we weren't taught. I wasn't taught this stuff. I kind of like, you know, not necessarily stumbled upon it, but you start asking the right questions, you get the right answers. But I'm fortunate that I started asking better questions. But there's not that general awareness out there. Like I said before, depression and mental illnesses, they're getting talked about a lot more, but there's a step further that we need to go here to say awareness is so important. Feeling, so knowing what you're feeling and not just reacting all that way, giving yourself time. It does come down to education.
Can I jump in on that as well? Because I feel like you say, it's not that they shouldn't be suppressed, but they shouldn't be medicated. I know I'm not a doctor and I shouldn't be speaking about that, you know, maybe some are and some aren't, but I think that it's too easy to, you know, now that it's in a conversational light, it's like, all right, we'll take that. It's not express it a bit more, go deeper into it. So it's still been spoke about, but it's still not really been essentially healed.
I'm with you because, you know, I'm not here to give anyone any kind of medical advice, and I never will touch that. But I do know that there's a lot of people on antidepressants who are still depressed. I know that they now I know that they work for some people, and that's great because chemical imbalances and all those kind of things that are going on. And I'm not by any way saying medication is not the right thing, but just medicating through pills, alcohol, drugs, gambling, sex, whatever it might be, that people, the way people are medicating is not necessarily through pharmaceuticals all the time. But on that, you know, I remember watching this documentary, and it was this like an old wise man, and he was saying, I don't understand why people are so like against depression. Depression is something you're supposed to go through in your life. It's just everybody's gonna feel it. Like, you're gonna go through this stuff. It's not an illness.
I've heard it as described as like shedding a skin. Like Jim Carrey says it, I think, or I might have reposted it, but he was saying when you reach depression, it's telling you that what you're going through is not for you. It's almost like you need to now step out of this cocoon and go into the life where you want it to be.
And it is about what can you learn to help you level up in life through these feelings. What can you learn from the feelings? What are they trying to teach you? We don't do that as a society. We go, bad feelings, get rid of them as fast as you possibly can, and don't tell anyone that you're feeling it either. And it's like, so what you're going to learn from that? You're going to learn to suppress. You're going to learn to hide. You're going to learn destructive coping mechanisms. You're going to learn all this stuff just to get it out of your system as fast as possible and hope no one knows that you're depressed. Whereas actually, all these things that we're going through, like shedding, like exactly like shedding the skin, it's like, okay, let me feel it and let me get rid of it in a productive way. And that productive way is, what can I learn from this and how can it make me better? Those are the two key questions that we need to focus on, not how do I get rid of this and how do I not feel it.
Would you say, linking that in, would you say, like, when people come to you, are they more open with you because they don't know you? Obviously, you're a professional in what you do, but it almost it's sometimes you have the best conversations with strangers.
Yeah.
Because you feel like there's no like pre-story, backstory to them, but there's going to be no repercussions really. It's quite liberating and freeing. So do you find that as well? Like people are more willing to open up to you, but in that sort of counterproductive because we should be getting people opening up with the ones closest to them and building up to everybody in society as well.
It is a real kind of tough one because some people in your life are so close to you, they know and you know all their quote unquote flaws, or you've got a personal emotional investment in them. So it's hard to sometimes take a step back and go, oh, actually from a emotionless, sometimes which is a necessary point, or from a strategic point, this is what we can do. You don't always get that opportunity because you're so close to them. And what you can find is that sometimes you're too close, but sometimes that closeness is really good. I've got clients who have been friends for over more than 10 years, and I said, but that's again me saying to them, look, if you come and work with me on a coach-client basis, I'm not your friend, and I'm not going to be your friend right now. I'm going to do what I do. But again, the flip side of that is some people do find it easier because they don't want to tell their story to people that they know so much in case the fear of judgment. Now, coaching's all about, I don't care what you've done, what you're doing, what you think you're going to do. I have no judgment. And as long as that person can retain that non-judgmental feeling, you can have a really good relationship. But the problem is when we feel like we're going to be judged for what we're about to say, which is why people often don't want to talk to the people that are closest to them.
When people do come to you, how does it work then, you as a coach? Is it one-on-one? Is it in groups? Like how does it work?
It's a mix. So I do one-on-one, which is, it's always been FaceTime, Skype, whatever it might be, just because you can work with people from all around the world, which I do now. It's one-to-one like this, or I do a lot of group sessions now as well, and I start to do a lot more webinars, so group learning sessions, or me doing talks or picking on a particular subject and giving people not just the background and the theory behind it, but then the practical how you do something about it. So it's a mix. For some people, they prefer learning in a group session because the safety and numbers kind of feel. Some people want that specific, how do I apply this to me right now, which is where one-to-one coaching is so valuable.
And are you getting as much out of it as well for these people? Like, is it almost like retraining yourself while you're helping these people with certain factors?
Yeah,
and are they subconsciously throwing you little triggers that you've got to still keep on your toes for?
It's like we talk about the universe and we talk about like being guided, and sometimes I leave a session and I'm like, everything that I just said to that person, I need to remember that. Like it's just, you get those moments and you get those conversations where, and I've described this to people before, but sometimes you go into these sessions and you have these sessions and you leave it thinking, I'm not really 100% sure what happened in that session, but it was amazing and it was so guided. It's like being in the zone, right?
Yeah.
You can't describe how to be in the zone.
Yeah.
I mean, so the stuff you do, Ben, there must be times where you're just like, I just smashed that. And I don't really know why or how I smashed it, but I know I did an amazing job.
I think it's a trust of preparation, and it's always been ready for the opportunity, but it's like, the whole reason behind Loose Lips is it's just a loose form of conversation. I respond to where people take it, and I like to go down certain rabbit holes and learn a lot more about certain stuff that I might be interested in, that I might not know about. But that is the guidance of it. It is. I think you're right. It's like that. Every time I listen back to these shows, I can feel its own energy. It's like you say, I'm almost like listening back, like I'm not even like asking the questions. I'm like, whoa, I was proper gone in that, man. I was like,
just flowing.
100%. the final like ones from me then is like, where can people find out a bit more about you and keep a tab of you and hit you up?
So definitely Instagram. I put a lot of my stuff on there. So at Suniel Makh Coaching. Also online, I've got a website, Suniel Makh, SUNIELMAKH.com. I'm going to start to be doing a lot more webinars. I'm going to also reciprocate and ask you to feature on some of the stuff I'm doing, because I'd love to get your, your journey, your insights. You're a great mind and a great spirit as well. And I've always, we've been, like I said, we've been friends for a number of years, for almost feels like forever now. But just every time I've spoke to you, we get these deep, great conversations. So I'd love to do this again with you. But yeah, to find out more, hit me up on the social medias, get in touch with my website, just DM me. I mean, like, to people out there, I respond to DMs from anyone, because if it's just a little bit of information or advice, like I'm happy and more than willing to share as much of my knowledge as I can, because again, it's one of those where, that little influence, that little piece of wisdom that you might be able to get might change someone's life. It might change someone's destiny. It might send them in a different direction. And I know that I've been given and blessed those little nuggets of wisdom, and I want to push that back out into the world.
Mate, you are doing a sterling job with it. You are, man. And like, there's some of the big dogs in this game. Like, what do you think it took for them to get there that you could like lean on to get you where it is as well? Because I find a lot of who I buzz off. Is it Michael Broderick? He's a good brother. He used to have like dreads and like he's a sick guy.
Yeah. He was in. I think he was in the. Was he in The Secret?
Yeah. He was in Secret, but I forgot about him. And then have you heard of Awesome Fest?
No, I haven't.
I'll send you some links. Like, they go all different. It's like TED Talks, but with like motivational speakers. And he was on one, and he was just sick. But yeah, there's loads of different people at different tiers and stuff. I wonder, all the differences is the exposure. Obviously, the information that you've got is still important to the people that come across it. So I wonder how you see yourself. Like, I mean, is that a goal as well? Is that something, like you say, the universe is just going to guide you and you believe it'll happen, destiny? Like, or is it, how do you make it to be on a bigger platform?
I think, intention, number one, having that vision of where I want to go. I know I want to be doing those larger seminars in front of, thousands of people when we're allowed to stand next to each other again. That's, ultimately where I'm trying to head and reach as many people as I potentially can reach. I'm in the millions, not in the thousands, in the millions over time. And I know for me that comes from a mixture of setting that intention. That's what I want. Visualization, knowing, going there in my mind before I go there in my body, seeing what success looks like, understanding what that means to visualize, and then definitely consistency, momentum. I can't just do this for a year and expect to get there. I can't do this for a couple of weeks and think I've done enough. We both in our respective industries have to grind. We have to keep working at this. I do believe there is that point though. The more you do, the more grace you get given, or the more guided you get, because you practice more, you get better at something. You do more of it.
You get better at seeing the signs that are sent.
You do. You're more in tune, aren't you? You get more in tune. You're sensitive to what's going on around you in a good way. You start to feel and pick up on that's an opportunity, or your brain's switched on to the opportunity. So you dream up something, or you're just walking along and inspiration hits you. And it's that mix of setting that intention and being consistent with what you're doing is ultimately what I believe will get us both there. Is that if we're still putting the work in, we're still visualizing, we're still setting our intentions, the guidance will come, the grace will come, and the destiny, if you want to call it that, will be fulfilled.
Yes. Amazing, brother. Thank you for your time, man. That's absolutely flown, that.
Brother, honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's we've got to do this more. I'm sure there'll be things that we're doing together as the time goes on, because we're both on that mindset stuff. So,
let's makes sense,
collaborate. Yeah.
Respect, man. Look after my brother.
You
stay
too, brother.
Cool, stay safe, stay blessed, yeah?
You too. Bless you, bro.
Respect, man. Bye.
Take care.
Shout out to Suniel Makh. To think that we used to be at school together and now we're chatting on Instagram Live about our respective careers. But yeah, positive, super good, uplifting soul there. And if you're interested in any more advice, any of the life coaching, definitely hit him up, because he is definitely a well and a fountain of knowledge. If you're new to this, I'm Ben Random. This is Loose Lips, and we speak with people from around the globe, different vibes to share with you all, to just uplift everybody's spirits. That is the mantra of this. So if you want to see any of the previous chats, go to YouTube. We've got a Pop Cult Chic, or likewise got an Instagram and got a pop.cult.chic. You can see all the plethora of all our guests. We're in series 2 now. So series 1 had 47 guests in, and they're all up on the outlets I've just said. And likewise, you can catch series 2 on those as well. I'm going to be back at 7 speaking with Matt Millington, who is involved with Leeds Live, which is a local digital station based in Leeds, covering all topical news around. So I'm going to be speaking with him and seeing how they've had to adjust during the current situation, current climate. So yeah, join me back here on my Instagram at 7. Until then, peace and light to you and yours. Bye.